Hi everyone! Oh wow, I'm actually speaking up this time. I know, it's a shocker, but I was tired of the mumbling in my other videos, so yeah, I'm gonna be talking more clearly from now on. I want to apologize for a lack of longer length videos where I'm talking as well as videos in general. I could give you an onslaught of excuses, but I know it doesn't really matter. I could also say, I'll try my hardest to upload more from now on, but saying that doesn't actually do anything and only gets your hopes up for what's most likely going to be nothing. Being said, however, I do still have school, so that does actually get in the way of me creating content, and I don't believe that to be much of an excuse. I want to try to put more of an effort into making videos, which is why I'm making this one. That out of the way, I'm going to show you the process I went through studying the values of this reference picture, so let's get into it. I traced the clothes and body since the purpose of this drawing is to study the values, and if you don't know what I mean by study the values, all it means is looking at the lights, darks, and midtones in relation to each other. I studied the way the light affected the shape of the clothes, which parts were the darkest, etc. While I did eyeball the lights and shadows, I did also take colors directly from the reference. I know, people always say not to do that and to train your brain to recognize colors on its own, but I feel like I already have a pretty good grasp on how to accurately guess the color of something, and I didn't feel like bothering. So I just took a color from wherever I was trying to render, like here with the dress. I didn't try to get the most perfect color with the most perfect shade, I just looked at the shadows of the dress and color dropped from that area. I did this because I believed it would help me better be able to recognize on my own while referencing whether or not the color that I chose was the right color and or shade. I just then filled it in as I did with the skin, cardigan, and boots. I obviously changed the hair, and this is because I just didn't feel like doing that hairstyle. I also thought it would be good practice to try to replicate the effect the lighting had on the hair of the original picture. I didn't feel like I did a good job anyway, but that's okay, I'll do plenty more studies in the future. I'm honestly not quite sure what else to say about my process specifically. Like I said before, I chose colors here and there from the original picture and tried to replicate it the best I can. But for the skin and cardigan especially, I kinda just put down general shadows where I thought there would be shadows and then went back and forth between my drawing and the reference to touch it up. Since you could see what I'm doing, I think it's quite self-explanatory since I'm trying to replicate something instead of drawing from my mind. However, personal experience did play a part in the process, seeing as I was more comfortable guessing the entire time rather than painstakingly trying to get every detail perfect. You'll see by the end that my values aren't perfect and in fact are noticeably different from the original, but I think that's okay. Recently, in my art class, my teacher made us work 8 hours on a still life picture where we had to study values, texture, and form. I'm not gonna lie, it was difficult, albeit easier than I had anticipated. I already struggled with the things that my teacher was trying to teach us, especially with values. I did really learn that from that experience though, and wanted to try studying value on my own since it was quite daunting to me before. Even though I love shading, I find it hard to do difficult lighting like this one in the picture. I really think I needed the challenge, and I think I did pretty well for my first try. If you wanted to know, the app I'm drawing on is Speedpaint X, and the brush I'm using is the graphite pencil, since I enjoy the different layering and texturing you could get with it opposed to the default hard brush. Throughout the process of this drawing, I vary the opacity of the brush to be able to get those different layers and midtones that I find hard to do on my own. The 2 shorts that I posted were me trying out the graphite pencil for a new rendering style that I've created for myself, which I believe is helping me a lot to move forward with my art. Before the summer, for years, I've struggled with digital art, and the main way I drew digitally was with pixel art, as seen in my process drawing video. Over the summer, I wasn't able to draw digitally and went back to traditional. It forced me out of my comfort zone, and I even developed a new style during that time. I taught myself how to better create forms, build bodies, and in general make my process shorter so I wasn't spending an hour on a simple doodle. After the summer, I went back to digital but completely dropped pixel art. I got back into the more quote-unquote traditional way of drawing digitally, but like you know what I mean. And since then, I've been trying to improve, and although the switch over to digital art wasn't comfortable, I kept pushing myself. I came across the graphite brush while trying to find a brush that suits me better than the hard brush I always used to use, and I ended up loving it. As you could see, I also started not to use super thin lines while sketching and instead changed my brush size to be a bit bigger to force myself not to pay attention to details as much, which also helped me with this drawing where details weren't the focus. I'm without a doubt so much more confident in my digital art and will definitely make more that I'm proud of, like this one. That being said, I have nothing else to add. Expect more experimental art, studies, doodles, and personal speed paints in the future. Enjoying the rest of the video.